Habs lose 6-5? Yes, I think it was 6-5. And I'm not screaming my lungs out yet because respect for the consolation kitty, which I've been hugging for the last few hours, last night and in the morning, because I needed a lot of consolation. But fair warning, I am going to vent. I am going to scream my lungs out. I'm going to complain a lot. I'm also going to go through the positives and try to move on. So stay tuned. Okay. What was that? Excuse me? Like, were the rest even watching? Like, I am so mad. I was fuming so much last night. I could not go to sleep for 2 hours after the game. And the game already started late. It was like midnight when it finished. And I couldn't stop thinking about what I had just witnessed for the next 2 hours. I was just fuming. Could not go to sleep. So now I'm super tired. Look at my freaking eye bags. Yeah. Thank you, refs. So the game was fine. The first 2 periods-ish. There were a couple things, that they were not calling. So we were like, okay, they're not going to call anything. They're in like playoff mode. They're not calling a lot of the stuff that's happening to the Habs. Fine, it's going to go both ways. But then, at the end of near the end of the third period, when the Habs are up by 2, they were 5-3, dominating the Oilers, which, again, I said I'm going to get to the positives later, so hang on for that, because there were a lot of positives. It was still like fun game to watch. That call on Slav, that's where it all began. We had already killed 2 penalties. The Oilers power play has been historically good, and even though they've been struggling a little bit this season, they still have a lot of talent on that power play. Like, if you give them enough chances, they're going to convert. So we have already killed 2 penalties, and we've been pretty good at killing those penalties. Slav goes for a board battle. He puts his hand in front, like he always does, pushes the guy in front to the boards, which is not boarding, by the way. The guy falls, and it's a penalty against Slav. Okay. Refs make mistakes, It's a horrible mistake. That's not a call. If that's a call, why were all the previous ones not calls before in favor of the Habs, right? Fine. Hopefully our penalty kill can kill this penalty. We've killed 2 out of 2 so far. We were up by 2, and there's only like 11 minutes left. So even if they do score, we'll still have the lead. Fine. We kill the penalty. We actually do a great job killing the penalty, and you can see that the Habs are feeling great about the penalty kill. We're making it difficult for them to generate stuff. They do generate some things, and Montembeault, who was after all a little shaky in general because he did allow 6 goals, he did make some of the saves that he needed to make. So that's great. We're good, right? We're good. Okay, we killed the penalty. Perfect. Like the very next play. The very next McDavid shift, sorry, I should say. Dude is falling all over the ice. He is fishing for a penalty the whole time. The whole time. You can tell it. You can see it. And then Matheson just happens to tap the front of his skate, like the boot, not even the blade, which I know sometimes there's a few tripping penalties that are like he barely touched it, but it is the stick on the blade, and that does make people lose balance. Okay, it looks like nothing, but it's understandable. This one he tapped the boot, like the top of the boot, and McDavid boop falls. Penalty. And you can see already that all of the Habs are losing their marbles to this. And we as fans are obviously also losing our marbles because, again, they do have a good power play. They're going to convert at some point, and they do. It's I think this one was a Draisaitl from McDavid. You can't stop them all the time, constantly, right? We had already stopped 3 out of 3. This is the 4th one with Matheson in the box, which is one of our good penalty killers, also. So that is even worse. And there we go. And now it's a 1-goal game. And then, wait, What's happening? Why are we on the penalty kill again? And then we're in the penalty kill again. And you can tell by then all the Habs were already like they completely lost focus on the game. They were beyond themselves. They were not playing the game anymore, right? They were just upset. Everybody was just completely upset. Nobody knew what the penalty was until like the replay started showing up after the game. Apparently, it was Anderson who, after the Oilers score on the power play, he grabs the puck, shoots it. It doesn't hit anything or anybody. He's just mad. And that's apparently like strike one or something like that. And then when he's going towards the bench, he keeps eye contact with one of the refs and starts tapping his stick. We don't know if he said anything. He didn't look like he was saying anything. There's barely a replay of this that was only shown in the Sportsnet broadcast, not in the TSN one feed. Sorry. So we don't have a lot of like video of this. And apparently that's enough for one of the refs to send him back to the box for a misconduct, which normally, according to what I saw from the hockey guy, normally you give them 10 minutes as a misconduct and it's not a penalty. Like the other team does not get a 5-on-4, but that player is out for the rest of the game, right? Which would have been more understandable than giving him a 2 minutes, which puts the Oilers back in the power play. Right again, like I said, by the time that happened, all the players were just not tuned in anymore. They were completely out of it, and we get scored on again. Game's tied, and yeah, like I said, by the end it was just such a mess. The players felt so cheated on, which is understandable, and they allow one more in. We don't even get a point out of that. I honestly thought I was going to be yelling more, but I guess I've already calmed down from last night. It is, like noon the next day, when I felt like I was able to make this video. But just complete game management from the refs. I don't mind when we lose games. I get frustrated when we lose games when we're not playing to the level the Habs have been playing. It sucks when we lose games when we've been playing well and we have been the better team, but the puck just did not bounce in our favor. It sucks, but that's hockey. I become unhinged when we lose a game because of the refs. It should not happen. It's just should not be a thing. Like, the Habs were the better team for 2 periods at least. And then in the third period, it was very back and forth. Sure. Like, the Oilers did get better, but like they started getting their feet going because they kept going on power plays that were just not good calls. Like, after the Slav call, after the Slav penalty, that was not a penalty, and apparently the refs did realize that it was a bad call. Why did they keep calling every single soft thing that was going on? And nothing for the Habs, which it's not like the Oilers weren't doing anything, They were doing a few things that if you're going to call soft stuff, you call them for those as well. But no, just the Habs got called. And then we end up losing a game that was not a game we should have lost. Fuming for 2 hours after that. Thankfully, a lot of the fans from both teams agreed that it was very bad reffing that completely changed the game. So we were commiserating in Reddit, at least. I don't comment there, but I do read a lot of it, and that made me feel, like, okay, help me calm down. Caulfield called out the refs in the post game press. Martin Saint Louis didn't directly call them out, but he was like, I hope they review, just like we as coaches review video to improve our game, I hope they do as well. Something like that. I don't have the quote exactly, but indirectly called them out as well. It must be so frustrating for the Habs players, and well, for the Habs team, for Stanley as well. They were playing such a good game. They deserved that win. Like, they were ragdolling the Oilers. Maybe ragdolling is not the right word, because we were not being super physical, but we were cruising beside them. We were not allowing their fast players to play their game. McDavid was only barely noticeable, which is crazy to say, until the end of the third. Like, he only had one or two plays, and like most of the stuff he was generating was only on the power play. Other than that, he was keeping his shifts short. We were frustrating him, and Draisaitl as well. Like, they were both fairly frustrated. We didn't deserve to lose that game. I know reffing is a really hard job to do. I've reffed a few rugby games here and there, and obviously without all the technology that professional rugby refs get. And it's hard, like every time you make a call, 50% of the players are not going to like it. And it's understandable, right? But you try your best. You try to, keep it, what's it called? For both sides the same. Like, if you called someone for doing something, then you call the other team if they do exactly or something in the ballpark of that thing you called before. I don't think that was how the refs were looking at it last night. Okay. I think I mostly got it out of my system. Anyways, yeah. So just to finish my complaining, I think it was the first or second goal of the Oilers. Hudson gets cross-checked from behind, like on the head by Nurse. It doesn't get called. Not even 20 seconds after they score against us. Should have been a call, shouldn't have been a goal. That's one. Slavkovsky called the penalty, shouldn't have been a penalty. It didn't end up in a goal, but it did definitely help the Oilers get their feet going. Second complaint. There was a sleeve foot by Draisaitl in the Oilers zone. Didn't get called. Okay, they don't have ice everywhere. The puck was somewhere else. Fine. But still a complaint. And then the Anderson misconduct penalty was just the cherry on top. Just come on. Okay. No, it's the last of it. All right. So let's look at the positives now, because there's so much season left and the Habs have been playing great hockey. So let's look at that. The Habs were the better team, like I said, for at least the first two periods and most of the third. We were dominating the Oilers, which is something I was not expecting. We were so fast, they could not deal with it. I think I was watching the TSN feed, and Craig Button kept saying, like, they didn't have an answer for the Kapanen, Newhook, Demidov line, because that's our third line. So, like, they were matching our first line and our second line, and then their third line was no rival for our third line. which was just dominating the play. Newhook gets 2 goals. Demidov was sorry, my kid is being. He's destroying my chair. Ow, ow. Yep. Demidov was just doing his things, you know, like they did not have an answer for the line, which was, you know, really fun to see because we have depth. It just means we have depth. Duck was a little shaky. He had a couple really good plays, but overall his defensive zone coverage could be, you know, better. He did pinch. He did cover for a defenseman when he was pinching in, but then he pinched up himself, without someone covering for him. And I saw Slav doing that a couple games ago, and I also, you know, noticed it and was like, that's not how you play that, you know, like even if you're a forward, you're covering for the defenseman. The defenseman only pinches if there's a forward covering or like coming to cover their spot. If you're the forward playing the defenseman, you need to have the same mentality. You can only go pinch forward if there's someone coming to cover the spot you're covering. Doug doesn't do that, or I think it was him and the defenseman both went, you know, whereas the defenseman was pinching up and Doug was trying to cover, but instead of covering, he goes for the puck as well. The puck bounces weirdly, and it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Didn't end up on anything, but, you know, you don't want to see that from Doug. And we did get scored on twice with Doug out there. So, not great. But it was his first game back after an injury, and he has been out for a while. So like, even though he was still, he was playing before, I think he's still shaking, you know, the rust of not playing for super long. So hopefully, you know, he can stay healthy because we know he has a talent. We know he can be a very good player. So hopefully he figures it out. Other than that, all of our lines, the other 3 lines were just controlling play. We had puck possession in the O-zone for so long. We were cycling well. Slav had a couple good one-timers. They're gonna start going in, you know. He's been getting so many chances. I did yell once at Slav because Caulfield makes a good play, puts the puck in front of Slav's stick, and I don't know if he had the stick tied, but he just did not have it on the ice. It would have been a tap in or like a bounce from his stick into the net, you know. So it was a little frustrating, and I'm sure he's gonna keep working on those. He is getting into good places. He's putting himself in good situations. It's just the finishing, you know, that is still lacking a little bit. But hey, you know, he's shown a lot of improvement, and it's really nice to see, especially when playing with Suzuki and Caulfield, because Slav is still a good playmaker. Like he's hunting the puck like crazy. He retrieves most of them, and he was setting up Suzuki for a couple good opportunities as well. So like, even though his shots are not going in yet, he's still helping contribute with the rest of the line. I don't think he gets an assist last night, but he was there for both of those goals, Caulfield goals. So yeah, we dominated play. Our first power play unit now has Demidov on the right side, Slav in front of the net, and Suzuki as the bumper, like we've been wanting. So I wanted to see another power play for us. I was excited to see another power play, and I know I'm going back to the same complaints, even though I said I wasn't going to. But because the Oilers were getting so many power plays, I was like, okay, you know, it's gonna be your turn really soon, because usually they try to keep the power plays, you know, balanced in a way. And yeah, like, you know, if you've been called multiple times that they're gonna call something for the other team pretty soon and stuff like that, you know, unless you're being like completely obviously what's the word I'm looking for, undisciplined. Thank you. If you're being completely undisciplined, yeah, okay, understandable. But like, we weren't, so I was like, you know, we're gonna get a power play soon. Hopefully we get a power play soon, because I want to see that first power play unit again. They had a couple good chances. just by changing and putting Demidov on the right there. I think he had a one-timer opportunity. He set up Suzuki. He set up Caulfield also, you know, like just so many more threats now with Demidov on that right side. So I'm excited to see that again. It looked very promising. I don't know how good the Oilers penalty kill is. It has been good the last 2 seasons, so I don't think they would be like bad per se. But we'll see. Hopefully against Vancouver, we can get a couple power plays in our favor. But with that being said, last time any of the Habs members complained about the refs, which was Martin Saint-Louis saying, we had a good game, but I'm not going to talk about the refs. That was everything he said multiple times, though. So it was obviously complaining about the refs, but without saying anything, really. We didn't have a power play for the next 5 games. That was last year. Go check if you want. So hopefully that doesn't repeat itself, right? Hopefully the refs don't see it as a threat so much and don't take it off on the team and not call anything. Because I want to see the power play again. Mostly. Yeah, it just looked really exciting. Other than that, what else did we see? Good speed. Matheson was keeping up with McDavid, which is fun to watch. McDavid was, good. Like Anderson on the penalty kill, I think it was the first or second penalty. He had a breakaway, and McDavid just so easily catches up to him. And Anderson is fast, or he's supposed to be one of our faster players. McDavid just catches up to him, lifts his stick, takes the puck away. It was a little sad to see. I felt a little bad for Anderson there. It's just like, I thought he was maybe going to be able to put on the Jets and at least keep the gap or take longer for that gap to close between him and McDavid. Like, McDavid was far behind him and he just caught up so fast. Poor Anderson. Anyways, like I said, the mid of Kapanen Newhook line has been great. Newhook has been fairly physical. Like, he threw a hit on Saint Parek of the Calgary Flames. That was like, it got replayed multiple times, so if you were watching the game you probably saw it, but I was surprised to see that it was Newhook that threw that hit. And then he has been throwing the body pretty well, honestly, which is very nice to see, because he's been generating a couple turnovers because of that. He's been putting good pressure. So Newhook has been playing great, honestly. Like, yes, I know some people want to see Kapanen, Demidov, and Bolduc, but Bolduc has been okay. I know he hasn't been put in the best of situations right now, playing with Dak and Beleno. But just there's no reason to move Newhook from there. He has been showing he wants to stay there. He wants to stay in a good line. And yeah, he has all of the... Sorry, Kitty's jumping on computer. He has all of the reasons to stay there, honestly. So he's been good in the PK as well. No complaints there. Yeah, it's such a treat to watch Newhook play like that. He has... Hopefully he has found his spot, his role. Because the last 2 seasons or more since we've had Newhook, he's been, like a player. He hasn't had an identity. And now, like, he was fast but no finish, and that was about it. And we already had Anderson doing that, and he's bigger. So now that Newhook kind of found his defensive side and he's throwing the body as well, I like what I see there. Dobson had a good game. I think he had a good game overall. Obviously, he was out there for a couple of the Oilers goals, but I was, like I said last video, I was worried about how he was going to handle the pressure after a bad giveaway like he had against the Flames. And no, he shook it off. Good. That's what you want to see. So he went back to his play. He had a couple shots. Maybe he was still a little, more cautious about the things he was doing, but not in a bad way. I don't think, or at least not very noticeable. So yeah, I'm happy with how Dobson played. I'm still happy with how Matheson has been playing. Struble was also throwing the body. I loved how Hudson generated the scoring chance for the first or second New Hook goal. I think it was the second New Hook goal. Yeah. He's just so good at opening up a lane and puts it against the goal, and New Hook just gets there. What else? I didn't see Jacky too much. I did see him struggling on one of the goals. I think it was on the third Oilers goal when they went up 3-1. He could have been a little bit better there, but Jacky has not been bad, and he's been noticeably faster too. He's gonna improve. I think he has the work ethic to keep on improving and working on himself. So not too worried there. But once Gouli is back, it's gonna be very difficult for Jacky if he keeps his level right now to stay in the team instead of Struble, because Struble has been pretty good. So if Jacky wants to be not be rotating and be the staple on defense that he wants to be, he's gonna have to step up. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. I already did all my complaining, all my venting. I talked about the positive, which was a very positive game in general. It just sucks that it ended that way. But it was really fun watching the Habs dominate the Oilers for over 40 minutes. Like, even when we were down 3-1, it was a couple bad bounces. Like two of those goals were just, one was a bad bounce on New Hook, just goes from his skate and in. The second one was a redirect that you want maybe Dobson to have to tie that stick up. Not a lot Monty could have done there. The third one was a bad goal, sure. And it was a little frustrating to go down 3-1 when you were clearly being the better team. But then, because we were clearly the better team, we scored 3 times in like a minute or 2 minutes, something like that. It was crazy. So hype. And we go up 4-3, and then New Hook scores again to start the third period, and we're up 5-3 while still being the better team. Like, it was so fun until that point. And then the refs, they made it unfun. Monty, yeah, I gotta talk about him for a second. He hasn't been bad, per se. Like, I did say 2 of the first 3 goals were not on him. People keep calling him out. I don't know which of the power play goals or the last 3 goals that the Oilers scored was on him. Maybe Dabish would have stopped one of those. I don't know. Hard to tell. The Oilers have a lot of talent up front. I don't know if having Dabish instead of Montembeau would have changed the outcome of the game. The Habs were clearly not in the game after those penalties at the end. So I don't know. I don't know how much blame goes on Monty, but the numbers are bad. And again, it's not all on him. Some of it is unfortunate, but I think Dabish starts against Vancouver. I think until Montembeau can put up a good game and not allow more than 4 goals against, I think Dabish is gonna be number 1 for a little bit. Maybe they'll rotate still. Maybe Dabish gets a Saturday one, and then I think we play Tuesday against Seattle after, and I think maybe Monty will get Seattle on Tuesday. We'll see, but hopefully the players are not too frustrated. You want them somewhat frustrated, but you want them motivated. You don't want them to go down, right? To feel down. So hopefully Martin St. Louis turns that frustration into motivation. Hopefully they come out flying on Saturday against Vancouver. And hopefully we can keep up the play from the first two periods and part of the third, because it's so fun to watch. We're such a good team when we play like that, and if we can keep up that play against all these better teams, we're gonna be so scary, and we're gonna deserve to be at the top of the Atlantic, which is where we are right now. I think or tied at the top, something like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the Habs. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that first power play unit with the mid-up now. I'm looking forward to seeing our defense being so dynamic, so good at defense and pinching up in offense very smartly. I'm looking forward to seeing our speed, and our synergy. I'm very excited. So let's remove that last few minutes of the third period from our minds. Look forward to the better things, and I'll see you guys after the game on Saturday against Vancouver. Go Habs go!